Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our YouTube channel once again. And it is my hope and prayer that this video is actually going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I am fine, as you can see. Kisumu is also fantastic, and maybe you could also let me know where you're watching the video from, the county or the country, in case you are out of the republic. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who've been watching this channel for a long time, of late I've been insisting that William Ruto is going to be a one-term president, unless a miracle is going to happen between now and 2027. And none other than Miguna agreed with me today. This is what Miguna posted on his official X or Twitter handle. This is what Miguna is saying. I can assure you that in 2027 and beyond, Kenyans will not remember, recognize, or be impressed by William Ruto's eloquence, frequent foreign trips, or countersuits. They will remember only their hunger, poverty, unemployment, and the cascading astronomical scale of corruption. Don't ever say, I didn't warn you. That's none other than Miguna. Which means from this post alone, Miguna is also alleging that William Ruto is going to be a one-term president. William Ruto's own friend, Cosmo Choi, also stated that William Ruto is going to be a one-term president. But William Ruto is not your ordinary Kenyan. William Ruto understands the game. This is a man who started his politics under Moi. He served Kibaki. He worked with Uhuru Kenyatta. He worked with Raila Odinga. And William Ruto is now the president. It's not going to be easy to stop IBC from declaring William Ruto as the next president of the Republic of Kenya. And William Ruto, in my view, is already laying an elaborate strategy on how the 2027 election is going to be rigged in his favor. In December 2022, which was last year, William Ruto appointed Mary Wambui as the chair of the Communications Authority. That appointment was intended to serve certain political objectives. For those who followed that appointment, Mary Wambui replaced Gilbert Kibe, who was actually forced to resign. And that's how politics is played. Communications Authority of Kenya plays a very important role during election. And again, in October, Ezra Chiloba, who was the Director General of Communications Authority, was forced to resign. You remember all that circus. And today, William Ruto has appointed David Mugonyi, one of his key allies, as the new Director General of Communications Authority. In this video, I want us to do a critical analysis of that appointment. Because for me, the appointment is part of an elaborate scheme by William Samoei Arap Ruto to take charge of the 2027 general election. But before we do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to dive in. But before I dive in, also allow me to thank the following people. You are seeing their names there for the coffee which they sent to me earlier today. I'm so grateful because it also goes a long way in supporting this channel. Ladies and gentlemen, just know that whenever you do that, I really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, who is David Mugonyi? David Mugonyi is a close ally of William Ruto. He has worked with William Ruto for a very long time. Currently, David Mugonyi works at State House. He works at State House as the Communications Secretary, Director Communications Secretary. And in fact, at some point, he even served as William Ruto's spokesperson. When William Ruto was the Deputy President, he was also his Communications Secretary. So which means this is one man who is going to serve particular interest at the Communications Authority of Kenya. I'm saying this because you can't tell me that of all William Ruto's allies, this is the only guy he found. You know, sometimes if you have an idea and a scheme, there's a way you can even mask it. But William Ruto is not hiding. He's bringing his known allies. William Ruto has brought Mary Wambui Waruto to chair that board. Now he has brought David Mugonyi, another ally, to be the Director General. So how many more appointments do you think wataweka hapa chini? Several appointments. But how is Communications Authority related to Kenyan election? Communications Authority of Kenya has a very big role in Kenyan election. Let me just give you three only. Number one, they normally regulate political messaging aired on air or on all media platforms, that be it TV, be it radio, be it newspapers, be it social media. So that the Communications Authority can say, for the purposes of 2027 election, nobody is going to publish anything against the government. There's nothing you can do. So they'll be able to regulate. Number two, they also monitor the transmission of results. They offer advisory and the monitoring of the transmission results. Because for the results to be transmitted, a server has to be secured somewhere. A platform has to be created on how it's going to be. So that's very important. And also the mobile broadband network coverage across all polling stations. On the polling day, there's always the KMSKit. How do they communicate? That is the role of Communications Authority. For those who followed the last election, at the Bomas of Kenya, during the tallying, you see, the results were just coming randomly. Then at some point, Raila Odinga overtook Ruto. Ruto was ahead a bit, and then at some point, Raila overtook him. Then the screen at Bomas went off. Those who understand politics knows that that's the moment Raila Odinga lost the election, because someone didn't want you to see the actual result. So that is the role David Mugonyi is going to play for Ruto. Remember, David Mugonyi has worked with Ruto for that long, so it means he's part and parcel of his political strategy. So William Ruto has placed Wambui, who is his financier, and Mugonyi as strategist to take charge of the Communications Authority of Kenya. And how is that important? Number one, if you ask me, that appointment is actually part and parcel of William Ruto's rigging schemes. The truth of the matter is that election is a process. And that process is a very long process. It begins by registration, the actual voting, the counting, and the transmission, and the actual announcement of the winner. Raila Odinga has always failed to understand that election is a process. It's not an event. So that if you want to win an election, you must prepare for the entire process. William Ruto has understood what is happening, that the country is against him, that he might not win if he were to depend on an event. So he's now preparing that process. For example, Raila Odinga always believed that if you have the numbers, then that's the end. That's not the truth. The truth is, election is a process. How do you influence the registration of voters? How do you make sure that your stronghold, people are registered, and in the opponent's stronghold, people are not registered? So that's where the deep state comes in. How do you ensure that the company you want is the one that is going to be responsible for the printing of the ballot papers? That's where the control of IBC will come in. How do you ensure that the person who is going to have the server, because we've had the issue of the server, who is going to control the server, is your person? That's where the Communications Authority comes in. how do you ensure that the votes that are announced at the tallying station are the one that will be reflected on the IBC server? So it's a long process. So William Ruto is now bypassing the people, the votes. He's now preparing for that. So for me, you can't convince me that of all Kenyans, David Mugonyi was the best suited for the position of Director, Communications Authority. So it's number one, it's that. Number two, I'm also convinced that William Ruto is laying the ground for the Azimio team, if Azimio will exist by that time, to reject the results. By rejecting results, they shall have played into William Ruto's scheme of things. You know, you conduct elections, all these things will happen, blah, blah, blah. You will claim, okay, there is no way, you can't trust this process, oh, Ruto ameweka huyu hapa. Let's wait for IBC. I'm sure IBC is even going to be worse. Because if, as an outsider, William Ruto was able, out of the 47 returning officers, county returning officers, if out of those he had 21 people from his tribe, now he's the president. So you'll reject the result. Then he will proceed. He will proceed. You reject result, he's announced, he proceeds to the next stage where he's sworn in. Remember, Moi Kibaki was sworn in at night. Nothing stopped Kenya from running because he has the sword. Then, probably after not trusting the process, you not even go for a rerun, you not even go to court. So he'll rule the next 5 years. And maybe after that, he's going to scheme on how to engineer constitutional amendment through parliament to extend or to bring certain changes that will ensure he still remains in office. So it's his strategy to enable Azimio to reject the results. And by that, he shall have achieved his objective. Number three, it could also be a scheme, an elaborate one, to distract Azimio, or the opposition for that matter, from focusing on the real issues. Because as we speak, the real issues, the ones we're going to refer to here. Let me just read for you some of the 3 issues that we're going to post it on his Twitter. One of them is the foreign trips. He has made several of them. Another one is talking of poverty. Another one, unemployment. Another one, corruption. Another one, counter suits. You know, the designer suits they are now putting on. So Kenyans will not focus on those. Kenya will now focus on the 2027 election. Number 4, William Ruto is planning to take charge of the IBC elections management system, the software, the one where they forced Msando to open after killing him because they needed the fingerprints. So I'm told someone, then they were able to access the servers, the passwords. Then he was eliminated because he knew if Musando had not been killed, probably today he would have written for us a book. So they want to take charge of that IBC KEMSKIT or election management system. That election management system, apart from the aspect which is managed by the IBC, the Communications Authority will have a larger control. And of course, lastly, it is also William Ruto's strategy of placing his people at key strategic positions in the Republic of Kenya. William Ruto doesn't care about anything. He cares about his interest, which is good. That's politics. For me, I support William Ruto's interest if those interests are serving his interest, because politics is about interest. William Ruto has decided to have someone at the Kenya Ports Authority. He has his people at the energy sector, all of them. Here, no Communications Authority. And if you look at other key sectors, his people are strategically placed. Why do you think that is doing that? For one reason: campaign money, resource mobilization. Communications Authority has one of the biggest budgets. So it means now David Mugonyi, who was just an employee at State House, now has a budget running in billions to control. He'll be able to control tenders. And the chair of the board is Mary Wambui. Mary Wambui, Mugonyi, they'll control all the tenders in that ministry. So those tenders will be given to their friends, who will then fund the campaigns. That's how politics is played. Smart politics. I don't know what you think. That's my take. Until next time. By the way, I forgot to tell you that the Communications Authority of Kenya will also be responsible. Whether Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and all those others will work during the elections. I've told you severally that one of the headache William Ruto and his team are facing is TikTok. And there was a time when there was even talk of banning. So TikTok, Mugonyi will deal with it. Until next time, this is Makwiny. Bye-bye.